Hi, welcome to The Jungle, a political talk show where we talk about current events or just whatever we feel like talking about. My name is Nathaniel and I'm the host. The other two people here are my friends Gage
Hi.
and David, who unfortunately cannot talk today. Today we're talking about the recent events with Hurricane Harvey, the statue craziness, about people taking him down, all that fun stuff, and AntiFa and some of its historical origins.
Hello. My name is Gage Simpson, obviously, and I am the owner of New Frontier News. Actually, we can just cut that out. Anyways, so with this Hurricane Harvey stuff, I mean, I wouldn't call it a Katrina storm, but it got really close to being Katrina. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I believe that Katrina had 1,500 people get killed. This storm only had 31, but it definitely is going to be one of the most costly storms ever, if estimates are correct. I think there's recent estimates saying that Hurricane Harvey might cost $150 billion, which is 50 more, I believe, over the last natural disaster. And I mean,
Oh whoa.
it's just been a humanitarian crisis. I mean, there's been thousands of people coming in to volunteer, and there's looting, water rescues, power outages, people getting electrocuted because there's water lines in the water, or power lines get in the water that are frying people. I mean, it is just crazy. Uh,
Jesus. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't imagine going through all this. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of
There's people.
controversy surrounding this because of people's reactions to things like uh, opening up of shelters, government aid, even Donald Trump. We'll talk all about this as we go.
Yeah. What has what is the confirmed death toll right now?
I think the latest count is still 31. It might have risen to one more, but they're probably going to find quite a few dead bodies over as time goes on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, there is a lot of people probably died in their houses for all we know. Hopefully, it doesn't rise more than 100. Really hope no one. But
Yeah. I imagine there probably won't be. I imagine there won't be too much in terms of like, because there are a lot of people helping out a lot of the other people.
yeah, I mean, there was a massive rescue operation. I mean, they said they rescued about 15,000 people who couldn't evacuate. But I mean, there's a lot of people who stayed in their houses because they couldn't escape. They didn't have money to leave, or just they didn't care anymore. I mean, it's just there's a lot of things. I'm estimating it'll probably be about 50 deaths, probably the most. Hopefully it stays at 31, 32.
Ho- we can hope, but probably not.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, but yeah, I mean, Houston's going to be hurting for a while. I mean, it's going to be, they said, a few years
If,
worth of
yeah, a few
restoring it.
people said they'll be there for a few years, and uh, in case worst case scenario, that next hurricane that's going to be the hurricane that's heading uh like around Florida and has the potential to undercut Florida, go into like the Gulf, and then hit like Houston, Louisiana, and it's like that would be devastating.
I would say that Houston would be abandoned at that point. I wouldn't think anyone would move back there. I mean, that would be a totally destroyed city right there. I mean, there wouldn't be all those buildings would be have to be bulldozed and rebuilt at that point. There wouldn't be any saving of a building,
It would be like
especially
the
if it's getting
second
as more.
Chicago fire.
Oh yeah, well I mean they did rebuild after Chicago fire, but I mean there's a lot of stories about cities that got hit by multiple natural disasters right after another, and they just disappeared and they couldn't rebuild them, and that might actually happen, but I haven't seen it happen in America, at least with a city the size of Houston.
Yeah. I know. That hurricane, which I can't remember the name. David, if you can get on that. Uh,
You're talking about one in the '60s, right?
no, no, talking about the second hurricane that's coming
Oh,
up.
and her name is Imra. Imra, I think that's how you say it.
Something like that. It's like four things begins with I. I'm just gonna call it Hurricane I for now until
No, it's
I
Imra.
figure it out.
It's Hurricane Imra. Hang on, let me see.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Hurricane.
actually Imra. It's like Imra, or yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think it's.
Yeah, it's
Is it
Hurricane
Category
Imra.
4?
It's IRMA, and she's a
I
Category
heard that
3 right now.
now probably people saying that's gonna head up back to a Category 4.
Oh no, maybe it is a Category 4. That's the I'm kind of eh. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So our senior writer right now, David, is talking about the shadiness kind of with insurance money. So there was an incident. Was it before the storm or was it right after it?
Before the storm, I believe.
Okay, so before the storm, right when they knew it was going to happen, a whole bunch of people got told by their insurance company that they were not covered by flood insurance because they were not in a floodplain. Even though there was areas just next door that pretty much were, and a lot of people are actually.
And some people said, and according to our writer,
Okay, so
some people were in flood zones.
yeah, and I mean they couldn't get any flood insurance, and they were totally screwed over by this.
Yeah, and what I'm guessing, what might be a thing is the flood zone could also be a term of where things are flooded. But there's also insurance thing flood zone. These are the areas that we're protecting which are the flood zones. Quote.
So yeah, I mean it was pretty shady. I mean. It depends though. If they didn't already have the flood insurance, I mean it's kind of like health insurance. It's the idea that you only get the health insurance because you're sick. And then you get rid of the health insurance before you actually pay. It's kind of one of those situations. It hurts the health insurance. It hurts the companies when you do that. Even if we think the companies as evil, as evil.
Yeah.
But
and then there was a bunch of loot.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of looting going on. Oh
Yeah, there was
wow.
and that's a mixed moral issue type thing because obviously there's I think people were looting, but that's partly because of resource. And so I believe Texas has a law that basically says in like certain times of crisis they're allowed to like not have to prosecute them.
Yeah, but Houston made a law. But then again, if you're robbing for food, that's a little different than if you're robbing for a TV. Because I don't see how a TV could be survival aid.
unless you're using it as a raft. If it's like one of the
oh wow.
Like
okay,
you stack several of them.
If someone did that, I would be genuine like, okay, that would be genuine just beautiful. But no, there was a lot of true looting out there, and I think Houston's had a law that they were going to jail people, or actually it was a state law, I believe, that they made an emergency precaution if someone was looting in Houston, they'd get automatic fine or something, or automatic whatever it was, jail time, which is pretty crazy.
Especially for the fourth biggest city.
Oh yeah, but I mean they were trying to stop it, but yeah, definitely.
It probably isn't the fourth biggest city now.
Oh God, everyone left. No, I can imagine might be an exodus of a lot of people who just say screw it, we're moving somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe Dallas.
Oh God, good old Dallas. But no, I mean, I mean, Houston is definitely, yeah, it definitely was a shit show. I'll say that, definitely a shit show.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it was the only people actually doing anything worth a while was the state, not the state, the local governments, all the first responders, the paramedics, the firefighters, the policemen. State government, I didn't think they did as much as they could have. I think they probably did send in the state, whatever they call it, National Guard, but I doubt.
I believe they did, yes.
Yeah, they usually do send National Guard, but I mean, I don't think they did enough. purpose. They didn't do enough to get everyone out. They didn't do enough to get bust people out who couldn't get a ride out. They just kind of let people do it themselves, and it just caused a lot of problems. And then I don't think the
Well,
federal government is going to do much at all. I think they're going to not give enough aid. There's going to be a shortage of enough money to even rebuild Houston, which might be a problem later on because Houston is one of our most economically important cities in the country.
because of a lot of it has to do with, I think that's where a lot of the energy stuff comes from.
Energy, and it's a major shipping port,
Yeah.
a major deep water port there, and it got shut
Yeah.
down. But yeah, I mean,
Opinion.
if they don't rebuild Houston right, I mean, we might lose a very vital asset of the United States property or whatever you want to call it.
And my opinion on that, I think the local government. I agree with Gage here. The local government did the best job here. I think that the state government probably could do a bit more, but I think they did fine. And then I think the only thing about I probably give like the federal government probably around like a 7 out of 10, which would be higher than what he would give. Probably, I think he said it.
I
He said it. I think you give like a 4.
Yeah, I gave like a 4 last time I actually talked about this. But no, the reason why I'm giving this is not that the government, usually governments don't usually do way too much during these events. But my biggest issue was that right before this, FEMA got cut, its budget cut. And Congress
Well,
has done, hang on, Congress has done nothing to give FEMA a lot more money again because FEMA's running on a pretty low budget now. I think they got 20. Was it like a 10% dock to their budget, something like that?
I don't know.
I know it was a decent cut of their budget, which
Look
is
that up.
yeah. Look that up. That would be great. But yeah, I mean, when you cut a federal organization that's supposed to be for natural disaster preparation, and then they get it cut right before something, and then no one does anything to get more money. I'm hoping in the next few months, if they that the federal government makes a disaster relief fund or something for Houston. If they do that, then I will give the government a higher response. But right now they're low because they're not doing enough.
Well, I don't really put anything with like them lowering FEMA money because I'm more talking about how in the current situation of how the government was when the natural disaster happened. I am looking about how they reacted with what they had.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at it in a much different light. I'm looking at it from the fact how they will respond to it in the coming months, not right now. Because their actual response was decent for a natural disaster. They sent in the military. I know that at least 2,000 for officials, 2,000 or 1,000. I don't remember the actual number right now, but yeah, I mean. And then let's talk about Donald Trump a little bit because that was a little contention there.
Let's talk about this for a second then.
Yeah. So Donald Trump was criticized by a few for kind of not doing enough. Like I believe he went to either outside of Houston where it wasn't too badly affected by a storm or a little further up. And a lot of people criticized him for just kind of being there for a second and then leaving, not doing enough to make.
I think he was in Houston. I think that's what he promised. But and I imagine like I'm knowing
Yeah,
more, unless like he was like said like by like the security people or like trying to keep the prison safe, people that he couldn't. But I know it very much he did. It was at like a soup kitchen at one of the shelters. I know Mike Pence was.
I mean, after the first visit, he actually visited Houston twice, which I gotta agree is actually pretty nice of him to actually go there twice and actually meet certain people.
Yeah, and this is actually really interesting. People who he met with actually I'm grabbing something real quick, but someone that he talked to evacuees who snapped this the evacuees who snapped this selfie and I'll put it and then who snapped a selfie and I'll
Someone got a selfie with
says
the
the
president.
encounter
That's
changed
cool.
their opinion. Yeah, it changed the opinion of him, and they found him to be kind and reassuring.
Yeah, I've heard that before. He's a lot of people who've actually met him say he's a pretty nice guy, but his outward opinion is a little different than that. But if you actually knew him, he's actually probably a nice guy to actually talk to. He'd probably be nice enough to actually give you a minute or two. But we're gonna move
I
off
think that's
topic there. So
yeah. Let's go back to
let's talk a little bit about the shoes because that was just like everyone was talking about for like a hot minute.
wait, say that again.
The hot minute. So Melania Trump came in with the stilettos in floodwater.
Oh, God. Oh,
I mean, okay, I'll say this. It wasn't the smartest choice to wear stilettos while you're walking through floodwater, but I don't think the media should so much on the stilettos. Maybe make it a joke, but not as much coverage as they had given it.
yeah, and she ended up changing them in Area 1, so she might have just like literally like had them on when she was leaving and then she was gonna change on
But
the way
yeah,
there.
maybe she was, but she could have like they could have told her, hey, you might not want to wear those when you're coming out because the runway's flooded or something. But I'm not judging too much. I didn't really pay attention to it. I don't
Yeah.
actually watch TV, so I have a Twitter and that's it, which is no better.
The things I can. Um, Joel Osteen. Let's talk about
Oh
him.
hell! So there's
First off, let me
conflicting.
find. While you're talking, I'm gonna figure out how much. Find out how much he's worth real quick. So
Okay, that's gonna be fun. No, from what there's conflicting reports on what was flooded at his place, but he originally told people that his place was not going to be open to not refugees. Refugees is the wrong word, to flood victims. And then he had to clarify it because everyone was getting mad because his church wasn't letting people in. He said that there was flood water in the church. Well, I've been getting conflicting reports on this. I don't know which is true, but the first report was his actual church was flooded, like it had a few inches of water in the church. And then I have a conflicting view which stated that the water was only in a subterranean parking lot, which had a foot of water only in there, and the actual church was high and dry. Now, I do not know which is which. I will not claim it here. I'm just kind of, but in my opinion, is that he should have at least, at first been blunt why he wasn't letting people in instead of just holding on to it and saying, "Oh, no one's allowed in the church," when he has a church the size of a stadium. But
yeah,
we don't know exactly what was going on, but it could have been better how he did it, which I'll agree on that.
yeah.
So
It's
how much is he
way.
worth?
I think in this year he's 60 million.
Good grief.
Uh,
That makes you
yeah, I know
wonder.
a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people don't really like mega churches because even like a lot of people like kind of like Christian type things because I believe like a lot of things with the Christian faith usually has to do with like a bunch of charity, and you're kind of sitting there with like
Yeah. Yeah, $60 million. Does he do anything else? But
like that's how much he's worth, but he has a lot more. That's like
good.
I don't know how exactly that's calculated, but usually they're
Usually
they have more
calculated by what their property is, stuff like that. But good grief, 60 million. Well, the church, I can understand how it got that 60 million because it came from.
Anyways,
yeah, we're getting off topic again.
yeah, but we have to like some of the people who didn't have to open but did, such as Matt's mattresses, I believe they were.
Yeah, Matt's mattress. Their building was left dry, and they opened up their mattress store to They opened their store to flood victims, and he actually gave he out of his pocket. He gave free food to the people there. He was feeding them.
Mhm.
And there was probably quite a few people out there. I don't know any other specific cases, but I know there's quite a few people out there who were probably letting people into their houses and stuff to, keep them high and dry.
Oh yeah, if we still live down there as I was born there, I know I'm not sure my family would have, but I probably would have if I had a dry house.
Yeah, I would have let people into my house. I would have been like, "Here, come in here. I got a garage. Come in the garage. Keep it dry."
And outside of Houston, the people talking about the things, there were a lot of people
Oh, I'm sorry.
politicizing.
Anyways, where were we? Sorry, we'll have to edit that out. Can you re-speak what you said because
Yes, to reset what I said, there were a lot of people politicizing the event, both people on the right and people on the left. There are some people saying because it was a red state that you shouldn't be sending aid, or like they weren't gonna like give a dime, etc.,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah, they were talking about that the federal government shouldn't give them aid because they voted for Trump in the election, which is just total bullshit. I mean, have a heart. Sorry that they voted for a guy you
For a
don't like.
little bit during the election, it was a blue state. It was blue for a few seconds during the election.
Technically, if all the people in Texas voted, it would be a blue state.
According to I can't remember which place. I think that might have been the New York Times. I don't remember.
It's mostly due to the bit large urban centers it has. Hang on. So yeah, I mean, I heard also about a group who only wanted to give money to non-whites. It was a leftist group, and I'm like, good grief! I mean, these people
Yeah,
are dehumanizing people just because they don't agree with them, which is horrible. You should help everyone. I
the,
know I would. I mean, I
the,
don't care if you were red or white, or not red and white. I meant red or blue on the political scale. If you're a person, I want to help. I mean, I'm not going to just be like, oh, because you're black, I'm not going to help you. That would be racist. That's wrong. No one should do that.
yeah.
But
And
yeah,
there were people usually say was kind of there's a toss up depending on your beliefs. There's a group that was just specifically getting donations so people could get abortions, and it's like I understand why you're trying to do this because in case like emergency abortions save people, but I think money would probably be more well spent put it's something in a bigger thing, kind of like donating to like the Red Cross or any other group, because I think some of those groups do stuff.
yeah, they do. I really feel that the money, if they were going to do something like that, it should have been for women's health issues or emergency women's health issues. That would have covered a lot more, and it would have covered what they wanted, and it wouldn't have been so bad.
Linda Sarsour, who was a big person in the kind of the women's march group, is a Muslim who once actually advocated for Sharia law, but she did a whole donation, put up a donation thing, and people quickly realized that it was specifically for like things there after everything was said and done.
What do you mean?
Like it was for funding protests after it, but it was
Oh wow, that's yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that was the person using it for political reasons, not actual for helping people. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that was the campaign fund thing. Yeah, I mean that was pretty crap. I'm trying to else think what was going on. I definitely do know that I gotta really say thanks to all those first responders who did what they did, because I mean some of those people were half dead trying to help these people. Have you seen some of the pictures of the first responders? I mean, some of them were so tired because they haven't slept in days trying to save people.
Oh, oh wow. For,
Yeah, I mean it's just crazy.
What was that one group called? Like the Cajun something?
Oh yeah, the Cajun Navy. I didn't really read into any of that.
I
I
have
pretty,
no idea what that group is.
to be honest, I think they might be some like what would a lot of people would call a Nazi group.
I
I swear,
don't know. I'll just
but
look into it right
I do think that even whatever their ideology is, they did definitely do a massive amount of help. I think that we should
now. Oh,
sometimes. Oh, okay, you're gonna explain that.
okay. Hey, hold on. You're entirely wrong. The Louis it's actually something from I guess it's a this is just I'll explain in a sec. I'll just read off the Wikipedia page. The Louisiana Cajun Navy is an informal ad hoc volunteer group composed of private boat owners who assist in search and rescue efforts in Louisiana and adjacent areas. The group was formed upon the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina and reactivated upon the aftermath of 2016 Louisiana floods and Hurricane Harvey, and is credited with rescuing thousands of citizens during those disasters.
Wow. Well, I am very sorry to the Cajun Navy for that. If there's anyone here who supports them or
You
listens.
cut that. You cut that out.
Oh yeah, I can, but still, I'm gonna apologize. But yeah, I mean, the Cajun Navy is just wow. They are an amazing group. I am glad they
Yeah,
were part of that.
there's estimated 7,500 volunteers.
Wow, that is an amazing amount of people. Man, I if I had a
Yeah,
boat, I would go. I would help, but I don't live in Louisiana.
to become the Nazi Cajun Navy.
The Nazi Cajun Navy. Yeah, we might just keep that in there. I'll just. I'm just kidding. We'll have to edit a lot of this.
Yeah, but you yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
just. But no, I mean it. So yeah, we need to move on to the next subject. By the way,
All right. The next
so we're gonna.
subject.
So we're doing.
The next subject is,
Yeah, I'll just let you talk.
and that's basically talking about it's which started with all
Hang
of
on,
the
hang on.
with,
Shh. You cut out when you said that.
oh,
Well, let me
and
just
that's
say.
to do.
So now that we got talked a little bit about Harvey, we're gonna move over to talking about the statue crisis that's going on across the nation with the Confederate statues coming down, and also other non-Confederate statues coming down.
This, obviously, in case you didn't know, this I think a lot of this all really began, or at least in a after the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville.
No, 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 no. They were actually there because of the statue. No, the actual.
Yeah, they were there. No, what I said was that it upticked. That not they were there because of it.
Oh, yeah, you're correct. It did extremely uptake. No, the real reason these statues are even coming down in the very first place is because of the guy who shut up the AME church in Charleston a few years back. Who and they he was a he wasn't a neo-Nazi, but he was a white nationalist, I believe, white nationalist supporter.
Mm,
But yeah, that was it went from there. There's still a whole bunch of people pensioned for a whole bunch of statues to come down, like Confederate statues, because they thought the ideals were bad and all. And yeah, it got pretty bad recently due to pretty much first off, it got really bad because the one guy wrecked his car into someone. Actually, I crashed. How would you say that? Rammed his car into a person, into a group of people,
he crashed his car into a group of protesters.
and killed one. Right?
Correct, Heather Hayes.
Yeah, Heather Hayes, and that pretty much like butterfly affected.
Just
It
caused.
went from one small thing to
Yeah,
a major, 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 major problem.
yeah. A lot of people decided to take down statues due to that. Just caused and then all there's other criticism towards Trump because he said that that there's bad people on both sides of the whole uh stuff, and then that it wasn't going to stop. Where I mean, kind of pointing out where does it end, and people criticized him for both things, and he ended up being kind of vindicated for both of them with people with now attacking the people who were the alt left and people decapitating statues.
Yeah, I mean the both sides are definitely acting up in this situation. I know that the alt left is being pretty bad about what they're doing, and the alt right too. I mean they're both doing wrongs in my opinion. The right wants to take down statues pertaining to the left, and the left want to take down statues pertaining to the right, and it's just going downhill
And
very fast.
Forge, to get into what he's talking about, uh, the right digging down statues is specifically talking about uh, Operation Lenin Down, which was an operation made by 4chan due to the events of them starting to take down a whole bunch of statues. They basically pinpointed a whole bunch of Lenin, like, communist statues.
Yeah, I know. And they
Petition for them
wanted
to.
to vandalize, or
I,
actually, they weren't wanting to vandalize them per se, but they wanted to make not Lenin anymore, which I still feel like that's not exactly right. It doesn't make it right that you're going to do the same thing as the other people are doing, even if it's not as bad as tearing it down. But I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you mean. Uh, no, I know. Interesting because with a lot of stuff with the alt left, they'll kind of jump from group to group.
Yeah, they do kind of jump to group, but
That will be discussed more in detail later down the line.
yeah, I mean, the biggest thing right now that's I'm trying to think. Sorry. But yeah, I mean,
Um,
this statue thing is. I really do not like how everyone's doing this. In my opinion, these statues should come down, but not in the way they are. I think that it should be a government, pauper vote kind of thing. It should be that the people vote for the government to take it down, and then the government itself takes it down, not some alt left or some alt right person going in there and taking a rope and pulling it down. Because there is some statues that legit um, pretty much perpetuate racism or uh, Jim Crow laws or things that were in the past. All these statues are political weapons, even recent ones.
I think I somewhat agree with you. I think that some of them should come down, but I don't think. I think, like, if they are to come down, that they should come down like government things. It shouldn't be pulled down by some protester who then gets a scholarship.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I just said that about the government should do it, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah, I
mean, that
know. I was just,
personally, I
hey,
don't think they got that scholarship. I think it was just a suggested thing that never got anywhere because I think that would have been automatically super unpopular. Uh, I mean, no one wants a guy who just committed a crime to have college. Well, they should have college degrees, but not getting a scholarship for doing that exact thing. If you know what I mean.
but the other thing that I was trying to say uh, is that I disagree. Like, all the stuff that, like, what they did back then during whether they put up those things to kind of as a political weapon, what whether or not that doesn't really matter at this point. Now what matters is, like, because a lot of this
That's
stuff has to do
that's
with
that's. Oh,
hold on. All this stuff has to do with perception of how it is and what, and obviously how, and sometimes how they wanted people to perceive it, because as you say, they used all of them as, or at least the vast majority of them, as political weapons. Then yes, they should be taken down. However, I don't think that there is any hardcore proof, and I don't know if you any of the hardcore proof, and we can discuss more of that stuff later.
I mean, okay. So I should probably like solidify my opinion on this. So I think that actual true memorials, things that actually are at cemeteries, battlefields, or places that actually had an importance. But I mean, there's statues, especially the one right outside my dorm. It's at the courthouse in Murray, Kentucky. There is a statue that features Robert E. Lee, who, as far as I know, has never stepped foot in this part of Kentucky. But he's prominently displayed on that statue, even though the statue is dedicated to 800 people who die in a battle. They are not featured except the bas relief on the side, and the statue
Well,
heavily features Robert E. Lee. I mean,
yeah.
that's a
Do you
pretty
know if
big political thing.
Christian kind of counter to that? Uh, who was if like because I do you know if he was the general for that one for that
No,
battle?
he was not the general for that. It was called. It actually is the group that founded the KKK. Actually, it's I think it's called the Lost Army or yeah, I think it's the Kentucky's Lost Army or something like that. And they're actually the ones who founded the KKK, which also further explains the Jim Crow era explanation I gave.
Mm. Well, but that specific example
Yeah, I mean, it is
would
a.
be
This is like
taken
a
because
statue
that
that. Oh, sorry.
that seems like a very specific example. But and
I mean, it's right outside.
we could do s- I mean that would be actually for if we went into a story later talking about how like actually look into a whole bunch of the statues or at least like you look into the ones in
I mean, I don't know anything about the Charlottesville statue that came down. I do not know if it was a true. I think it actually featured a Confederate soldier, not some like major political figure in the army. I mean, that statue probably was actually made to be a memorial, but the statue outside here, and I know a few others that are really pushing it on being real memorials. I mean,
mm,
if you want a good reference to what a true memorial is, the first Confederate memorial ever made features is a statue. It's somewhere in Georgia, I believe. That, or actually no, it's in West Virginia. That actually features a wound. Actually, I think he's dead. A dead Confederate soldier being held by an angel. Now that is a memorial right there. It's a masterpiece. I've actually seen it.
and David, who unfortunately obviously can't talk right now, his position on this is in his words, I personally believe that they can go down or stay up either way because on one hand, a lot were used as propaganda, but on the other, your average African American passerby will not look at the statue and say, "I feel oppressed." The statue isn't going to pull out a gun and shoot you because you're black. Also, let's say that an artist sculptor sees this statue and says, "The intricacy on this is amazing." And the alt left brands him as Nazi, white nationalists, whatever is the most trending insult, etc. When he's just admiring it as art, not as the potential politically charged symbol it represents.
Yes, it can get to that point where it becomes a blame, not a blame game. It
That was a
becomes it just pretty much you can't like anything unless it's sanctioned by another group, unless you want to be branded as a outcast in that group. It's getting to that point.
you, what I find funny.
Yes.
Um, so the thing I find funny is one of the people who saying that they're all this is just stay kind of like this isn't this is an isolated event type thing. Also called for the Jefferson Memorial to go down or for a Jefferson Memorial.
You're talking about Thomas Jefferson, right? You're talking about Thomas Jefferson, right? You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Hold on.
I'm muting it. I need to go pee anyways. So yeah, I mean, yeah, the Jefferson Memorial. Yeah, I think even the whoever runs that, I think the National Park Service actually put a saying there, or they were going to put a sign there saying, putting Jefferson's slave owning history.
Which it's a good thing.
I mean, Jefferson was not your typical slave owner. I actually believe he was one of the few slave owners who actually treated his slaves very nicely, and I think he only owned his slaves because they were handed down to him. I don't know his exact history of why he owned the slaves, but I definitely know he wasn't like horrible to him. And I believe there's actually quite a few African Americans who have ancestry with him because he had relations with a few of his slaves.
Womp womp.
Yeah, womp womp. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. He was definitely an interesting person. But also, in talking about the statue decapitation, I think we should move over to Antifa. Um, because I feel that they are the most pressing issue in the country right now. I mean, Hurricane Harvey's over, and the statue crisis is going to calm down sooner or later, but Antifa isn't going to die off.
Antifa or anti-fascist action is a group of anarcho-communists who were basically everyone to the right of them is a fascist.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, they have an extremely narrow view of agreeable political sense. They're about the worst the left can actually get, in my opinion.
Well, there is Black Lives Matter who.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter is just a whole nother realm of. they're
Black Lives Matter is the Black KKK at this point.
Yeah, they're a black nationalist group, which is pretty. They have a very interesting view. The group started out decent, but it turned into a shit show fast because it got taken over by black nationalists.
It got taken over by it basically became the successor to the Black Liberation Army, which was the successor to the Black Panthers.
Yeah, and Antifa and Black Lives Matter are very closely related. They're not maybe in the same they're not like buddy buddy, but they're definitely of the same pedigree of extreme leftism.
They're cut from the same cloth.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, Antifa definitely is becoming quite a racist group, actually. I'm actually kind of sad how racist they got. Like, I mean, they were already kind of bad in the first part, but I mean, they got really racist. And
Do you want to know something really interesting about like their name, anti-fascist Antifa or anti-fascist action? It ordered from the name of the group that fought the Nazis in Germany.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, the people, there was actually kind of a small group, not a small group, but like a group before that, not as radical, but still kind of very left, you would say.
Yeah, I mean, they were left in the Nazis.
Let me finish this. And it's interesting because even in 1982, people were saying that we're kind of falling into the trap of Nazi Germany, and we now have two extremist sides fighting over, both with the people who are kind of joining them coming from the colleges, and both kind of having slogans from that time, the alt-right using blood and soil and hail victory, which are just the English versions of saying different Nazi slogans, and anti-fascist action is, well, they're using literally the same name.
Yeah, I mean, literally. I mean, Antifa. I don't even know how. I didn't even know Antifa was a thing until they came out during the Berkeley riots. It was like they were so in the woodworks, and then all of a sudden they just come out of nowhere.
That's they basically, a lot of stuff, as I mentioned earlier on, the people who are in Antifa kind of hop from group to group. Whenever a group kind of gets more put on enough scrutiny, they kind of hop from a group. And that seems what they may be doing now, as in one state they were declared a terrorist organization, and since 2016, in internal documents, they've been called either terroristic or terrorists.
I want to ask a question actually. While we're on the subject of them being taught, when was the first time we actually heard about it? Was it the Berkeley riot?
It
Were
was
they?
the first Berkeley riots, and that stuff was organized by the group
What were they
BAM.
doing before then, though? Were they doing anything before then?
Groups, but a lot of the time, I don't. They might have been Black Lives Matter, to be honest.
Really? I mean, it's just kind of weird. I might actually have to do a little research on them a little bit more. But I mean,
A lot
I
of
think
stuff.
the biggest.
Hold on a second.
Oh, sorry.
David wanted me to point out they are literally anti-fascist march. They're literally using fascist methods to spread anti-fascism. There are literally anti-fascist marches where they beat up counter-protesters with baseball bats. And him saying that reminded me of something. There's a guy who went to two of the Berkeley riots, because there was one recently, and he went to one earlier. You may know him because he was setting Pepsis down because of the Pepsi commercial.
I don't know him, sadly.
And then this second time, he dressed up as like the really old it was the one that caused people to actually call them out in. He was dressed up as like this old timey popcorn salesman with like had two little American flags and like was holding the little box. Like what you see at like a baseball game.
Oh, really?
Around just acting like a popcorn salesman, just to kind of see what was going on, to see it from his own eyes. And he got attacked twice. One time, they ripped the flags off his little thing because there was two American flags on him, and they burned him like right in front of him. And the other time, a group tried to attack him because capitalism.
You're just kidding, right?
I am not kidding.
They attacked him because he was what?
Doing again. They are anarcho-communists. A lot of stuff with communists, like a lot of times with people who really get into this. Certain things they do believe that either inherently evil or bad morally.
I mean, communism is no better. I mean, all the communist regimes that have ever existed have been bad. I have never seen a good one. And I doubt there will ever be a good one.
They'll just answer with it, but it's not true communism.
True communism doesn't work.
And it's funny because like
authoritarian governments do work, which is what they become if you let them. No, the only way, I'm just going to say this, the only way that a true communist society could even work, barely, is if you had all the children who are babies and put them in a society where they don't have any outside access. Communism might actually work in that situation, but anywhere else, it would not.
Vanguard putting out his communist literature, the next he's going to be the next Marx.
Hell no, I am not going to. I'm a capitalist. I support capitalism. I don't support maybe completely open market, but I support having a freer market. That makes any sense. But no, I mean,
a mixed market.
But no, Antifa is just there. I really have strong opinions against Antifa. I mean, it's not right to use violence, even if they think violence can make peace. That's like something out of 1984, in my opinion.
it's funny because one of the things they often say is that something that I see them often say is that George Orwell would have been like one of them.
Oh hell no!
Yeah, that's something they tried to push a lot.
No. George Orwell would have wrote. Oh, I would have loved to see the book George Orwell would have wrote about them. Oh
And
man, George Orwell was kindness. If they're talking about young George Orwell, yes, he might have joined them. But older George Orwell,
yeah,
hell no.
they usually specifically talk about post like George Orwell as we know him.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't join them. He would be totally 100% against them. They used some of the techniques he talked about as bad in his book.
I mean, like they're even communists. Like if you want to get even the early one, he was more of a socialist.
Yeah, he was always socialist. I don't think he ever really cared too much for communism. But the problem is as soon as he saw what Stalin was doing, he got totally disenfranchised. And I mean, 1984, which is a criticism of fascism, had a statement. It was, and I literally think they stole this from that line. I don't think it is, but they. It's one of those ironic things that don't make sense. It's like violence to get peace. It's like
Oh
violence
yeah,
is
yeah.
peace.
They said like, hold on. I think that was in like a fucking CNN article. CNN, uh, vi- violence to make peace.
Oh God. That's just beautiful. I wish I could find this. I'm gonna try to see.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
War is peace.
Activists
Oh,
seek peace through violence.
ha! Here's the actual quote from the book: "War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength."
Yeah, wasn't that like the
It's on the
motto of like?
posters. It's on the posters. It's one of the posters, and it's pretty much they're all bullshit. And now we can add
And
violence is peace.
a lot of the stuff they do.
It's like God. It's like come on, you're not gonna. There's very few people who want an Antifa government. I mean, if there are. I mean, they're already in the pocketbooks of the Antifa. Uh,
There are a lot of stuff with them as well.
I mean, there's claims also that they're getting funded by people though.
George
I,
Soros.
yeah, the George Soros claims. I am very in doubt if George Soros is actually directly funding them or even supporting them. He might be supporting the groups that might be funding them, but I don't think he's directly funding protesters. And I do doubt the busing in stories because there is no like a like direct quotes of that, like people actually seeing it's always secondhand accounts. But I do got to give credit that Antifa is extremely organized. Even though their actual like group organizations disorganized, they are extremely organized due to social media, which is a scary thing. They can move around really quickly because they can talk to each other in mere seconds.
Best thing though is that so can, and kind of a bad thing is so can people who are against them, which right now is I'd say the big people who are against them are more that actually are doing things to like damage them are probably more of the centrist people.
Yeah, centrist is the centrists are really hitting back, especially like me. I really am against anything at Antifa. Well, not everything, because there is a few things I could probably find that I like in Antifa, but for the most part, I'm generally against most of their views and most of their ways of doing things. And I hope most people are because I mean they're just a not a good group. They're very nasty in how they do things. I mean, people who think that the only way to get peace is to go and kill people, or well, maybe not kill people. I don't think they've gotten that far yet, have they?
They may have at the very least they've at the
They've hurt
very
people
least
before.
they've heard of people. At the very least they have irrevocably, I believe, makes maybe like stem cells damage someone's vision.
Oh yeah, what was that called? They had a name.
Baked Alaska.
Yeah, the Bake Alaska incident. Yeah, they didn't they like pepper spray him the hell.
They bear maced him. I think they bear maced him
Oh,
like
bear maced him. Oh God, I feel so sorry for.
yeah, he was like there was a video going around like screaming. Like, he was like screaming for milk on the ground because like that helps.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean that is
And
just
then like people like there were people like blue checkmark people who were like laughing at this and like smiling at this.
wow. Yeah, I definitely got to put a comment here. Is that Antifa is almost to the point where anyone against them is not human. They literally have that mindset in their head, is that they believe that if you're against them, you ain't human, and we have a legitimate right to kill you.
They are the logical extreme of you can punch a Nazi because they're a Nazi.
Yeah, they're pretty much anyone who doesn't agree with us is a Nazi, and if you're a Nazi, we will hurt you. So pretty much anyone who isn't Antifa is going to get hurt.
Yep. Basically, at this point, and then
Hang on, why was the guy even pepper sprayed? Just I want to ask that question. Was he even
because,
part of a white supremacist group?
Is I believe a member of Blake Alaska, I believe, is a member of the alt-right.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
I mean, it still doesn't make it right, but at least it's not some random stranger. I mean, at least it had some connection, because if they were attacking random strangers, I would be afraid to leave my house at that point.
Interesting thing with him, with Baked Alaska, he actually used to be left.
I mean, a lot of people, I mean, most younger people, not saying everyone, but most younger people are left. I mean, it's...
No, I mean, like, he was, like...
Oh, really far left. I know what you mean now.
Not, like, really far, like, he was more like a, not like the normal left, but, like, a little bit, like, farther than that, which is what they call the BuzzFeed left.
Oh, them.
Yeah, and then he switched sides, like, entirely, completely, and that, you actually see that a lot with,
well, I mean, it comes
people
from
who...
that. Usually that never happens in real life. Well, it does. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say it doesn't usually happen. Because most people they don't usually have what you call those massive political upheavals. But you might be right that it is becoming more common, because a lot of people might be seeing, oh, hey, I was told I was left, but I wasn't left, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like how I was. I'll just admit this right now, that I used to be like, I wasn't Antifa left, but I was pretty fucking left. And I really changed a lot. I actually at one time even supported having Sharia law in America, but that was how left I was. Now I don't. Thank God I don't. Holy shit, I was very out of my mind at that time. But no, I mean, I've moderated. I have become more moderate as time has.
With my help, we kind of.
It was a lot of people's help. It wasn't just you. Stop taking all the credit. But no, I mean,
hey, I was the one that got you, the one that disproved the gender.
Okay, yes, that was the major thing that got me kind of moving a little more right.
A lot of stuff with Antifa, the stuff they're doing gives alt-right political leverage.
Yes, the alt-right definitely
right now,
has.
They have none. Right now they have little to none, because of how small their group. Unless they want to have like a Castro-style revolution or something.
I mean,
can't do that.
The alt-left right now, the Antifa, the BLM. No, I'm talking about the alt-left right now.
No.
The alt-left has actually got an extreme amount of credits right now, because a lot of people don't kind of want to disagree with people who, you know, you know what I mean. Like you're who's going to say they're against? Who's going to say they're for fascism? Because if you're anti-fascism, you're for fascism kind of thing. But no, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's like that's a lot of these far left groups. A their names have always been the things that encourage a logical fallacy, basically of if you're not like it's kind of basically saying you're not a patriot if you're against the Patriot Act.
oh yeah, I mean both groups do it. I mean the left has more titles that actually do that though. But no, I mean it's just this. But the left is definitely they're more on the side of where they're more willing to. I gotta say the left is more likely to attack, but I gotta say both sides are equally militarized because it's not just the left that are.
Yeah, they're both the paramilitary wings,
Oh god,
basically.
I think if there was ever a civil war, I'm putting
Oh,
my money on the alt right
that
right now.
that reminds me. There was a news place like Salon or something, I believe Salon or like Courts or someplace like that. One of those far left news places. They were telling people to pick sides for a civil war because it's going to happen.
And there's no way to not be in neutral. Hell the fuck I'll be in the neutral. I'm not going on either side. I'll be whatever. I'm like I don't support either side.
We'll be our side will be the moderate wing death squad.
Oh god no. No, we'll just make Kekistan.
Oh man, kick us. We'll take the
We'll
area
make
around
Sargon the prime minister for life.
Yeah, British man.
We'll
prime
just
minister.
ship them over here. Here, we'll give you the leadership.
What even happened? We're extremely off topic.
I know, but it's funny.
Yeah, we'll probably have to. We should probably cut this out.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm gonna have that. I have an hour to cut right now. I have to cut about an hour, depending on how much further. You think we need to talk a little bit more?
This is 10 minutes. 10 minutes more.
Okay, so, but but Antifa, I gotta say, right now has it's right now it's well not anymore. It's about to get to the point where the media is starting to be like a little more cautious with them. But before the point, they were like
when talk show hosts are actually criticizing them, that's when you know your power is gone.
I would say their power is gone, but I definitely shows that they're not being viewed in the same light anymore.
Because like a lot of the talk show hosts are like very, very left. Like they're the BuzzFeed left.
Well, I wouldn't say that the BuzzFeed left. I think they know that a lot of people like to make a lot of people like to make fun of conservatives still. And sometimes the conservatives are kind of funny to make fun of, but definitely.
Oh, everyone's funny to make fun of. I mean, like there was a picture that a little bit. It was an AntiFa protester, and they had bent over a little bit, like doing something, and it showed they had like those like see-through like boxer things.
Oh no. No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh no. Yeah. I don't want to even picture that in my mind right now. But no, I gotta say though, as it currently stands, they were at almost to the point where they were the general public had no fear of them. Like it was like you know how some animals don't have fear of humans because they've never seen a human before.
Yeah.
And then the humans completely wipe them out because they had no natural fear. That's kind of turning into that situation right now, or was going to turn into. It was going to be the Antifa was going to slowly wipe us out. I don't really know. I mean, I don't really think Antifa was actually too serious of it. The only thing I would have worried about is if the tensions got so bad that the alt-right and the alt-left went to war.
At most, it would have been a gang war.
Oh yeah, they're kind of act like gangs, to be honest.
If it went into a gang thing, we would probably if it went into a gang war type thing, that would have been one step closer towards a Nazi quote unquote Germany scenario.
Oh hell yeah! But no, I mean
'Cause
it could
that was
technically go
that
that
was
way at
next.
any time. You know that. I mean that's what it worries me. I really do not want a civil war. I mean no one
That
wants
was
a
the,
civil war.
I think some people want a civil war.
I don't. I don't want to see. I don't want either of them running the nation. To be honest.
No, I said I don't. I think there are like 3 or 4 ways there'd be a civil war. A, uh, the never Trumpers in Congress and like some of the governor ones. I think there are some uh,
Do a coup?
leave or just something like that. Uh, and that would take like a third, not a third, a fourth. I think would it be a fourth, like 3 to 1 people, and three. There was a thing with the army. Uh, Clinton voter in the army. There were 3 Trump voters.
Oh. I mean,
Would that be? Would that be
they would be.
25%?
Yeah, it would be about 25%. So
So
that's
yeah,
a.
they'd have like 25% of the army plus like whatever the paramilitary
Oh,
wing.
that would be like a worst. But that would never happen. That's extreme treason right there. And that would also have to assume that all 25% were for the.
I know that's why it was just worst case scenario. But like, it,
Uh, I mean, yeah, I mean that could possibly happen. I mean, there is a group of people who have talked about a coup. Didn't someone actually talk about like a really big like senator or
oh
representative?
yes,
Someone
yes.
called for a coup, I believe.
Someone called for Trump's assassination.
Oh, that was the state guy from Missouri. No, I was actually thinking there was someone who was calling for a true coup.
Oh, I've seen grunts call for a coup, but I haven't really seen like any senators.
That might be what it was. But yeah, I mean, that would be hell. A military coup?
Yeah, either like a partial military coup. If I imagine if they did anything, Civil War did break out, the capital would be probably like California, and then like they tried to like slowly take over the area there, and like the Western United States would get fucked.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was pretty much you would have most of the Northeast under at least the leftist group. But I don't know. I would think that it would just be we do not want a civil war here. I don't care how much. We should not want wars. We should not want anything happening on the United States. Because once we have a war, say bye bye to any world status we had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it will definitely. We will definitely.
Also, hey, can
Civil
we?
Wars.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was wanted to talk because we're about running out of time here. I want to go back on the thing about so Antifa and Black Lives Matter, right? They're both anti-white,
Yes.
right? Yeah, I thought so. They both anti-white because they believe white people have all the advantage.
Basically, they believe, and a lot of them basically white privilege breeds white racism. Blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, they're the ones who believe there's a thing. Well, there is. Okay, so what they screwed up here is I actually know what they're going off of is that there's a true thing called implicit and explicit prejudice. It is a real scientific thing that we know 100% about, and we've proven it. And but they took it so like bastardized it, so horrible because there is a true thing where there is a implicit like people out there do see a black guy and they think, oh hey, he's gonna rob me maybe, and there's people out there who see a white guy and they think, oh, he's privileged, but these two guys could be the black guy could be the most outstanding citizen possible who's never done a single crime in his life, has a full-time job, paying for his child support and everything, or even if he has child support, if he's and then the white guy could be total trash and had every disadvantage in their entire life. It's there is a true bias in there, but for the most part, most Americans are not racist. I don't. A lot of racism does. I mean, I do think there is a lot of white racists right now, but most black people are not racist, and most white people are not racist. We do not. Some people do not even see race. I don't see race. I don't see. If I see a black guy, I don't think he's
You
a
know,
black guy.
they would
I
call
just see
you
him as a damn
racist.
human. They're human beings.
They would call you racist because of that opinion.
How? I don't see race.
Because of their logic is because of the existence of privilege, you must see race so you can identify privilege, or else you're ignoring white privilege and white and black disprivilege, therefore being biased towards black people.
I have had very little privilege in my life. The only thing I have ever gotten that would even be close to privilege is I got a almost full ride to college because I have a disability. I have Asperger's syndrome. I was born with that. But no, my life, I've been near poverty almost in my entire life. I don't know how I have any advantage over anyone else other than something that doesn't even have to deal with my race. There's black people who have Asperger's syndrome. There's white people who have Asperger's syndrome. There's Mexicans who have Asperger's syndrome. That's not a race thing. How am I getting advantage for my race?
We're both people who kind of our existence gets kind of throws in the face of what they believe, because a lot of them don't believe due to privilege that white people can't be you can't be racist towards white people. But like I've really been
There's
through
definitely a lot of white people I have met who are racist towards white people.
like black people racist towards white people. They think that can happen.
Oh, well, there's obviously racism in each group. I mean, black people definitely can be racist. I've seen it before. I've actually met a black racist.
I'm a victim of it.
Yeah, I mean, just because you're black doesn't mean you can be racist. Neither can it being white make allow you to be racist. No one should be racist. All people are equal under the law.
Unless you're Mormon, then you don't exist.
The Mormons kind of got screwed over by early a whole bunch
Mormons
of
were screwed over because they moved to Utah.
But anyways, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, come on. I mean, we're humans. We should live as humans. We should not act like, race matters. Race doesn't matter.
What about the people who think they're like they aren't human, they're like transhuman or whatever they're calling themselves at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, wow. At least I'm happy enough to have kind of transcended race. But anyways, I believe that our time is up. Well, that was episode 1 of The Jungle.
We suck. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we definitely suck. Yeah. See you next week.
Well, we do another one.
Yeah, if we do.
Next time on The Jungle.
Oh, God.